Good morning. We're back again. This is the Spaceman channel. This is Isaiah. It was a follow-up on my video that I posted yesterday, a little 5-minute, just talking about what we're going to be doing, how we're going to be doing things on the channel. We're just getting everything set up. It's quite difficult because I didn't really expect to know that much about video stuff, but I have to learn pretty quick because I got a channel now. You guys are hungry for information, and we got to get it to you. Or I got to get it to you. Anyway, it's Happy Friday. I just want to talk real quick about a couple of things. This is how I work. This is my layout. This is how I do things. This is how I sort of code a little bit, not code a little bit, do a little bit, all that good stuff here in the middle and in above. Give me a second. I'm going to pull some things up. Let me turn this off real quick. My alarm going off. Alright, we're back. This is as live as you can get it. Get the stopwatch. Keep my favorite stopwatch near me so I always know what time it is. I don't have any coffee this morning because I'm working sort of live, so this is as real as it can get. All right, let's see what we can explain here, how I work and how I do things here at my little home lab. So let me see if I can get things happening here. So first thing I always have open whenever I'm doing any testing or anything is basically I have my old llama. My llama, basically, I have it open, basically recording everything in the background, keeping logs, that way I can see if there's any errors. Right here where it says gen, and it says 200 here in gen, that's basically the model, showing that the model is actually connected via my API. So the way my system works here is I basically have SRR. It's using its own API, its own MCP server. It also uses searching or SearXNG to basically get online on the internet. So there's absolutely no token usage from any third-party providers. Everything is local LLM. It's all online from the host to the web, so you can do searches, you can do internet retrieval, you can look up anything you can possibly think of. So the reason why I set this up was, like I said, I first started using OpenClaw, didn't really know anything about it, tried, couldn't get the features to work the way that I wanted to on this old laptop, and it's not their fault. They put in certain things in the beginning how they wanted, and some of them are just too restrictive for me. A lot of people, they ran into some of the same problems. There's forums online talking about this one particular bug. I'm not going to go into that another time. But this one particular bug basically was not allowing me to get online and search the internet. What I did is I came over here. I'll show you my second setup, Mr. Codex. And basically got online with Codex, say Codex, hey, can you like dig around in the files, dig around, check, see what's happening. Seems like we may have a bug or something limiting the capabilities of OpenClaw. Originally what I did was I took OpenClaw and I put it in its own sandbox, basically a user account, completely separated off, gave it some sudo commands, accessibility, and basically just locked it off, and then I started opening it up because I didn't know what to expect. You know, with all the crazy stuff that was going on the web, OpenClaw coming on the scene, people posting all kinds of stuff. I was like, I don't know if I trust this thing on my computer. And I was like, well, let me not trust anything because I don't know what this thing can do. It might just take its claw and open up the computer, crack it like a clamshell. So I put it in put OpenClaw in its own user sandbox, and basically its own user, and I just gave it the lockdown. Then I opened it up and couldn't really do anything. So I was like, interesting. I can't get online, can't search the web. Seems like it's having a lot of problems with remembering things, or remembering things that I have no idea what it's remembering, but it was just having difficulties. I got a lot of timeouts, just all kinds of things. So I decided, well, you know what? I'm gonna be brave. This laptop. It's dead weight. It doesn't really have anything on it. I took everything off personally and cloned the hard drive with the DD command. So I put it on a completely brand new, fresh system. And after cloning that hard drive, cleaning everything up, system's now clean. I'm like, well, cross your fingers. Installed OpenClaw. Same thing. Couldn't get it to work the way I wanted to. Was having problems. I got frustrated, and basically I just decided, well, I'm just going to free this thing. So I went through and I enabled almost everything I possibly could, and I did it deterministically. Here, there, open it up, this, that, and just unchecking, checking until basically everything was opened up and everything was cracked. So I'll let the claw crack. Still nothing. Still having problems. Still having difficulties. So then I came to Codex here and basically asked Codex, hey, can you go and look deep into the system and see if there's any things causing problems? So Codex went in and dug and found basically exactly what was happening and what was going on. And pretty much after that, it was found. It was found, and it was like just right there in the flesh. Everything was just there, and I have my OpenClaw. Started talking. It was sort of strange because I hadn't experienced it actually coming alive like everybody else said, and so it came alive. It started talking pretty fast actually. I went from using like 4 to 8 billion models to the next like 20 billion models, all the way up to like 70 billion models. And on this machine here, I can only put in 65 gigabytes of RAM. This old ThinkPad P70. So what I did was I got into a Llama and I basically reconfigured all of my system D settings so that way I had a different context windows, and it worked. It worked. It was sort of a surprise to see OpenClaw come alive and chatty, doing this and that. But I was like, all right, so I still can't get online, still can't test the web. So I eventually figured that out. And then once it started doing research and getting online, getting on the web and all of this and that stuff, I was like, okay, this thing actually works. But here's the fun part. So this whole time, I was getting frustrated. So while I was actually working with OpenClaw and getting more frustrated, and it's not their fault. They built a really good system. OpenClaw does what it does. Just for different hardware, how it's set up, it has to be customized. So I give them credit. It's got to be completely customized for what those needs and stuff are, because that's just how it works. But the main thing was I got it working. So I was sort of happy. But as I was getting it working, I was realizing, I was like, you know what, maybe I could just build my own thing here. And so that's exactly what I did. I just decided, I want to try to build something in a terminal. And basically I came up with SRR. And what SRR started off being was, it was basically, I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know anything about AIs, models, harnesses, and so on and so forth. So SRR was only supposed to basically connect to Linux and build scripts that I could reuse, recycle, rebuild. The concept, it was just build something, get it to work, have some automation, use cron jobs, use system timers, whatever. And the first thing that I did was I got ChatGPT to start giving me some ideas, and then basically I started just going with the flow of things. And eventually what I ended up coming up with was SRR and Super AI. So I started working on it, building it, started testing it, and then I started realizing, I'm like, well, I only have like a live chat and a main UI. So I was like, I can start building all these other things into it and get those things to work. So for example, this page right here, this is the main UI section that you come into. You can basically talk to the model, ask it questions, get it to run jobs. We'll touch basis on all this in detail a little bit later. I'm just going to give you a quick run through because I'm sort of pressed for time right now. Got a job, got to work, got to make that money, got to live. YouTube's my thing right now. I'm trying to get a channel started, get monetized, and basically, you guys, I'm showing you how things are done, showing you how I did it. You can do it. It's not that difficult. My background, not really a coder. I do have a little bit of experience with Bash, with Python. When I was in high school, I pretty much had to take computer literacy, so I took Pascal, which was pretty advanced back then, so I understand. I've done web design, graphic designer by trade, so getting around code is not too difficult for me. I can understand all that stuff. I also use Gentoo Linux, which is a very serious operating system, and I've built it thousands of times. So when you're compiling programs and emerging on Gentoo, you have to know what you're doing when you're no longer a newbie. It's a cutting edge operating system. Got to give those guys credit over there. So anyway, that's a little bit of my background in regards to the code and such. So I got to digging in this thing and putting it together, and I was like, okay, so I got a main UI. Next thing, I put together a live chat. So now I got a live chat area where basically I can start a session, do a live conversation, so on and so forth. Then I was also wanting to get a Discord set up. So I was like, well, I can add some channels. So I added a Discord channel. As you can see through here, this is basically where my Discord channel lives. And I can basically go through my Discord channel and do some stuff there. It's underneath me right here. I'm not gonna go into too much details about that. Next thing, I have my agent mail, which is pretty interesting because I decided to go with agent mail.2 and also have a postfix server on this local laptop. So my postfix server picks up all my mail on the local laptop, and then I basically connected my three agents. I'm running Hermes, OpenClaw, and SR, and I have it set up that way because I wanted to see if I could get them to talk to each other or communicate back and forth, because I still want to use OpenClaw, I still want to use Hermes. I'm doing some testing with these guys. They're a lot of fun to play with. My system's a little bit different because it's more of a system based on evidence. You basically ask for evidence, you get less model inference, and you can actually prove it. So the whole point is these models, these lower end models, once they're quantized, they become sort of ridiculous and stupid. And so evidence is a good thing to have to prove that they're actually doing what they're doing. And one of the problems that I was having is I was trying to build this myself, and they were sort of stupid and retarded and crazy and nuts and out of their minds. They were just telling me all kinds of stuff, and I was like, can I really believe these people, what they're saying? Excuse me, these AIs. And they were like, yeah, we just did this and we just did that and everything's great. And this is all good. And I was like, no, this is not all good. Hey, cut the presses here. Like, you guys are going to wreck the system. So we had to fix that. Once we got that started understood, I was like, well, we got to build some gates. We got to figure out how to keep these things from lying and just doing some stuff destructively. So that's a whole nother subject. We'll go through all that stuff in detail. But I started slowly just adding things to the system. Haven't completely tested everything 100% yet, but most of it I've already either tested it in a different way. But this is the GUI interface, because I have I have the web UI. I have a CLI, which is a terminal TUI, and then I also have a terminal STUI. So the terminal STUI is a small one that's on the go, SSH into it via your cell phone. It's a smaller one, pretty lightweight. And the TUI is a desktop. You can basically log into it, do what you have to do, same thing, a little bit lighter weight. And then I basically have the web UI. Through the web UI, you can basically talk to the AI on Discord and have it do things via Discord, communicate, check the system, all that stuff. We'll talk about all that a little bit later. This is a crash course getting into it real quick. Next thing we have is commands. This is the command center where you can go through things, you can see everything. Typical command center. Next is the automation. Automation is basically here where you can actually start creating scripts. You can create different work requirements. Here's the jobs. Here's some of the domains that you have, like research, planning, development, Linux hosts, AI models, browser online development, business ops, marketing, data processing, information retrieval. You can go through here, set up all this stuff. Next thing is the Forge. The Forge allows you to basically build reusable scripts and tools. Haven't really done too much work in this department yet, but this is basically the registry library. Anything you build on here gets stored in here. It also is quite interesting because what I did is a little different. I basically separated my system into a very unique system. You basically have safe Linux tools, admin tools, and block tools. The safe Linux tools are a little bit different because it allows a very large set of binaries to be used on the system. They're typical system tools, design tools, editing tools, music, whatever the case. The admin tool is a little bit different. Admin tools are gated off. You have to get permission to use them, and so they technically don't run until the operator or the user gives permission to use it. The block tools, very dangerous. DD, shred, wipe, those kinds of Linux tools, they're automatically segregated off, so you can't actually use them, because with DD, you can clone a whole hard drive, but you could also wipe the whole hard drive, and nobody needs a good wipe. Did I really say that? Anyway, no pun intended. Anyway, we'll move to the next one. So here's the next thing. We got the memory. Now the memory is evidence, and here you can see there's a bunch of different things that I was running. These are some of the tests that I was actually working on. Just testing. Different tests here that I was running. It keeps the memory and what was run, when it was run, how it was run, if something we were logging into something, or we were testing it via the web browser, whatever the case is. So basically, that's that part. Memory and evidence. Evidence is very important, because without evidence, you can't prove that it actually didn't do something. So you need to prove it did do something. Next part, and we'll talk more about the memory. Actually, we'll talk about it right now. So, memory, I had a big problem with memory, because when you use memory to remember a lot of things, it takes up a lot of context. and that context eventually starts to become bloated, causes the system to run. All those markdowns have to be constantly fed into the model. The model doesn't really like it all that much, becomes unhappy, and starts doing all kinds of weird stuff. The good thing is, if the system is running really well and is tuned, then in theory, it always has the memory to go back and basically remember things that you did, so it can pick right up where it left off. I decided not to use that as much, and I came up with a different system of doing things, which we'll explain a little bit later, because I needed the system to be sharp, fast, quick, and in a hurry. Anyway, we'll move to the next one. We have credentials. I'm not going to stay in here too much. Credentials basically are where you pretty much put your credentials. Anything private that you need, passwords, usernames, all that good stuff will be put in here. Next thing, we have the logs. You can go through the system logs here and check the different logs out. Go through here, look at the JSONs, look at pretty much anything in the logs. Check your logs here. Logs end up in here. That's the next thing. And then we have schedules. Schedules are basically system timers, cron jobs that you want to have run, so on and so forth. Next one is master settings. Here's where we have basically our settings for different things. In here we have agent mail, channels, network, MCP server, harnesses, automation, basically most of your typical stuff on the system. And then we have a quick master settings if you need to get it quickly. Let me see if this actually works. This is sort of cool if we got it. Go back to here. I had a pull out here, but I think I got rid of it, so it's not really needed. The quick settings basically brings you back here also, like, because it's something I got to work with, but a little different. Next section is we have the doctor. So gotta have a doctor. The doctor, basically you can come in here and basically run a doctor to see what's going on, how to fix it, what it is, do a diagnostic report on it, get some details, tells you where everything's at, what needs to be fixed. Still working on all this stuff. Like I said, this is a live system build, but we have a doctor, and you can see it gives you a lot of information. And the most important part, which is the help. The help is the best part. The best part of the help is it's a pretty unique system, because what it does is it uses local and web search documents, man pages. So what I did was I basically figured out how to actually use Linux man pages to pull in anything from the system, so that the AI basically has access to all my binaries. If it needs to know how to use a binary, goes to the man pages. If it doesn't know how to write code, goes to the man pages. If it gets how to write code, goes to the man pages. Everything goes through the man pages, and that's a special little feature. We'll get on that and touch basis with that a little bit later. And then we can basically add a new agent. Get to here. If you want to, you can add a new agent here. Right now I just have Hermes, OpenClaw, Codex, agents, cursor. Yeah, that should be it. So you can add an agent here, and then it'll pick it up and it'll be on the system. These are two that I have, OpenClaw and Hermes, because I'm just testing them. And that's basically it. So my workflow is typically, I use Codex to basically work on some things here and there. I do a little bit of vibe coding. I do a little bit of actual, sometimes I have to schematically draw it out and explain what I want to have done. I work with ChatGPT. I go back and forth between the two of them. I also use Claude. I found that each of them has different things that they can do. So I basically get a vibe from everybody. going back and forth, asking different questions, working on different projects. And so I have my system set up very, very differently. Under my codex, I have my general instructions, which basically gives specific details on how I want codex to do what I need codex to do. ChatGPT, go back and forth with ChatGPT. Claude, do the same thing. And that's basically where our system's pretty much at. So I'm pretty much pressed for time right now. Just want to share a little bit of this information with you guys. Show you, hey, this is a real project. It's got real things going on. Let me get rid of some of this here real quick. But most importantly, that's basically my workflow. My workflow is I pretty much work with Codex, ChatGPT, Claude. I've tested other agents. Agent Zero actually works pretty interesting. That sort of gave me some of my inspiration in regards to the Linux part. I don't like using the word but we'll get used to that. So the whole concept of SRR was to build a Linux first agent toolkit, or a rapid response agent that could be quite flexible, could work quite quickly on localized low grade, middle grade, high grade equipment, a laptop, a gaming center, a server, anything. It needed to be smart, but it needed not to forget things. And the other main thing that drove me to this was the API usage. People are burning through a lot of tokens, using a lot of different models, do and do not know what they're doing. So they're getting a bill at the end of the month and they're like, hey, did I do all of this? Yeah, you did. So stop doing it. So I came up with basically Sear, I call it searching, I think that's what it's called, or SearXNG, because it's basically a web proxy to pretty much get you online and do what you need to do. And I like using it because it's free. I can get online, have my AIs communicate back and forth. I use Discord to have my models look up different things. It's a good flexible little platform. The other thing that I did was I figured out how to build an API bridge in between OpenClaw and Hermes and SR, all three of them. So they can all communicate back and forth with each other through that API. So the goal was to have SR originally as just a toolkit that OpenClaw and Hermes could use. But then I was thinking like, well, I'm going to put more focus into SR because I made it. And so I started devising different ways to actually use SR to work with them. And then I started figuring out, well, I could just do the opposite and have them use SR if necessary. So we'll talk about that a little bit later. Like, subscribe. I'm going to be bringing you some content. This is my new lab. I had to set it up really quickly. Didn't know what I was doing, but I know what I'm doing now. Sometimes I don't know. Sometimes I do know. Sometimes I got to figure out. Sometimes I ask the models. Sometimes I Google it and I look it up online. But eventually I'll figure it out because that's what we do here. We test things. We break things. We make things. We fix things. We try to see if it works. And hopefully it does. Not always will it. But that's what we do here. I'm trying to get my GoFundMe page back up. I'm trying to get a new system. So if anybody wants to support the GoFundMe, I'll have some links on there. I'm on an aging laptop. Computer prices are through the roof because of all things going on. So trying to get some donations, trying to get a system. The goal is get a new system up so that I could get off this old laptop, so that way I can start really testing what this thing does, because this old laptop, it's quick on some things, but some things it does take a little bit of time to do, and I'm just sort of like, really? So that's where we're at. Once I get this new system up, then we'll be rocking and rolling. But until then, we're still going to be rocking and rolling, because time waits for nobody. You got to do what you got to do. Anyway, this is the Spaceman. This is my channel. Please like if you like. Please subscribe if you like to subscribe. And leave some comments. Something you want to see, something you want us to try to do. Don't know if we'll be able to do it, but I'll check it out, see where it fits into the program. I'm going to start creating a syllabus on different things for people out there who want to learn the internet in regards to using codecs and anything in regards to AI agents. If I know it, I can basically show it. If I don't, I'll look it up and I'll see if it's in the comments. I'll be like, hey, let's see if some of these agents can do some of this stuff. I really want to test what all three of these agents can do together. That way I can give you an honest, open model preview. Anyway, we're not blasting off, but we're out of here. Spaceman out.